Will Smith has grossed over $10 billion in box office sales. He went from class clown to Grammy winner, from broke to blockbuster megastar. Some call it ADHD. He calls it fuel. He didn't just break into Hollywood, he became it. But before the red carpets, global fame, and hit movies, there was just a kid from West Philadelphia. A kid who didn't quite fit into the classroom. Will has talked about how he would constantly crack jokes, distract the class, and do anything to stay in motion. He was smart, but school wasn't designed for minds like his. Fast-moving, curious, and restless. He once said, "I was the fun one in class. I wasn't disruptive because I was bad. I was disruptive because I was bored." That's a feeling many people with ADHD know deeply. Not a lack of intelligence, but a lack of stimulation. The traditional system tells you to sit still, follow the rules, and stay quiet. But some minds were built for something else. At home, things weren't always smooth either. His father was strict and intense, and that created pressure. Will's energy often clashed with that environment, and it left him trying to find his place, somewhere he could be himself without being told to tone it down. That internal conflict between who he felt he was and what the world expected shaped the performer we see today. For a lot of ADHDers, that sense of too much can turn inward. You start to believe something's wrong with you. But what if the problem isn't the person? What if it's the environment? Will found his outlet early, music. He teamed up with DJ Jazzy Jeff, and suddenly that endless energy had a rhythm. The creativity, the improvisation, the play, it wasn't a problem anymore. It was power. He wasn't just doing music. He was obsessed with it. That hyperfocus, the kind that keeps you up at night editing lyrics, rehearsing lines, reworking every detail, that's an ADHD superpower when it's harnessed properly. But even after winning the first ever Grammy for rap, Will went broke, fast. He spent without thinking, another common trait of impulsive, dopamine-seeking minds. The IRS came for everything. He was at the bottom. And that's when the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air came along. That moment of rock bottom turned into the start of something iconic. 6 seasons later, Will Smith was in every living room in America. Not as a character, but as a cultural force. And he didn't stop. His mind didn't work that way. From Independence Day to Men in Black, from I Am Legend to The Pursuit of Happiness, Will brought more than talent. He brought obsession. He brought a level of commitment that came from that ADHD intensity. He has said before, if we get on the treadmill together, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're getting off first, or I'm going to die on that treadmill. That's not just motivation, that's wiring. He studied his roles with surgical precision. He trained relentlessly. On The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will's hyperfocus went off the charts. Not only did he memorize his lines, he often mouthed the lines of other actors during scenes, a detail castmates later noticed on rewatch. For instance, fans and viewers have pointed out that in early Fresh Prince episodes, especially during fast-paced group scenes like in Season 1's episode, Homeboy,
Find a grade I like, I stick with it.
Sweet Homeboy,
Back in the 10th grade 3 times in a row.
or Mistaken Identity,
I'm actually a lot taller.
you can catch Will subtly mouthing his co-stars' lines to stay in rhythm. It's subtle, but once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Will reportedly said on numerous occasions, "You can look at the first 6 episodes of Fresh Prince. I memorized the whole script, everybody's lines. You can actually see me mouthing the other actors' lines. This was partly nerves, and partly his ADHD-style hyperfocus. The compulsion to go all in, unable to stop once his brain locked onto a task. In his personal life, emotions ran at full volume. When Jada's entanglement became public in 2020, Will shocked many by responding with empathy and even self-blame rather than anger. At the now famous Red Table Talk episode, Jada admitted to a relationship with August Alsina during a separation from Will.
You know, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement.
Instead of lashing out, Will leaned into understanding. He sat across from Jada and calmly asked questions.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship, absolutely.
Clarifying timelines and even joking lightly. I think you need to say clearly what happened.
And then what did you do, Jada?
What?
This wasn't just maturity. It was a window into ADHD's deep emotional intensity. For many ADHDers, boundaries blur. Empathy takes precedence over self-protection, and forgiveness often feels easier than detachment. Will even admitted in later interviews that he viewed Jada's growth, even when painful, as part of their shared journey. It's why, in that viral moment, the world expected rage, but what they got was vulnerability, patience, and a man willing to carry part of the blame himself. That is the paradox of his wiring. The same system that drives impulsivity also drives over-empathy. Fast forward to 2022. The Oscars. Chris Rock makes a joke. Will laughs. Then 10 seconds later, he's on stage delivering the slap that froze the world. For Will, the aftermath was brutal. He resigned from the Academy, projects were delayed or shelved, and he released a series of public apologies on Instagram, in interviews, and in a direct video statement where he admitted,
I am deeply remorseful, and I'm trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of myself, right? I'm human, and I made a mistake.
Critics dissected it instantly. The New York Times called it a shocking act of ego, while others labeled it pride, fragility, or a career-ending mistake. But the real punishment wasn't just public backlash. It was the replay in his own mind. The regret didn't fade after the slap. It grew. Will later revealed he had spent months in therapy and self-reflection, confronting not just the action, but the shame of letting people down, family, colleagues, fans, even Chris Rock. But to anyone who understands ADHD, the moment looks different. It's a brain reacting before it can pause, then deals with the wreckage after. For many ADHDers, the aftermath burns longer than the act itself, and Will live that in front of the entire world. Then there's his need for bigger and bigger challenges. At the height of his career, when most stars slowed down, Will launched into extreme projects like skydiving in Dubai, filming his own mental health journey for YouTube,
Have some false memories and people have to be corrected because they're going to...
and even planning a Netflix reality series that forced him to confront personal demons on camera. He doesn't dabble, he obsesses, until there's nothing left to squeeze. Like a true ADHDer. And underneath it all, relationships. With Jada, with his kids, with his fans, his instinct is to love big, to pour himself in without a filter. It's beautiful, but also exhausting. It can make family moments magical, but it can also turn conflicts nuclear. His daughter Willow once shaved her head mid-tour in protest of his control, showing how even love can burn too hot under his intensity. Will Smith is not just a Hollywood star, he's a case study in ADHD. He's walked a path of extremes, from wondering why he was so different, to the Grammy stage, hit TV show, Oscar scandal, to facing some of the hardest challenges in his personal life. But this all leads to a couple of questions. Did ADHD hold Will back in his personal life? Did Will succeed because of ADHD? Would he have been even more successful without it? Was ADHD the cause of Will's public controversies? The truth is, we'll never fully know the answers. But what Will's story does show us is that ADHD isn't just about distraction, like people assume. It's something much more complex, a double-edged sword. On one side, it saves you, drives you, even makes you great. And on the other, it can cut you just as deep. But when you learn to manage ADHD, harness its energy, and understand its traits, that's when it transforms and you can truly skyrocket. Take it from us, the people behind this channel know the struggle of ADHD firsthand. Remember, life is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and you are not broken. It's just ADHD, and we promise you this, life does get better. If you can relate to Will's story, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below.